Hello Lagos and welcome along to 93 Extra. It's been a week of mixed emotions both locally and internationally, with the Champions League filling up the disappointment of postponement of elections trauma, and of course 4 matches took center stage in France, England and Germany, and not forgetting the clash of the Titans in Spain. As European nights go, this one wasn't quite bad for the neutrals. It served up a cauldron of great intensity and Diego Simeone's magic as Atleti beat Juventus in Madrid. And of course, in Gelsenkirchen, Manchester City narrowly avoided a seismic shock versus Schalke, thanks in no small part to local lad Leroy Sané, and VAR had a prominent role to play in both games. We're opening up the show with a song by Rick Ross featuring Nas titled The Usual Suspects, something we Nigerians can definitely relate to, especially on the eve of elections. This is 93 Extra with yours sincerely, Yubi, and right after we're introducing the journalists that make up our panel for tonight's discussion. Stay happy for me, Lagos. Well, I'm joined in the studio by Mezi Ishike, who's a football reporter and a writer for some of the leading outfits in Nigeria. And of course, also making up our panel tonight is Temitope Ajibade, who's a football writer and a keen follower of Jose Mourinho's Manchester United. Well, speaking of which, gentlemen, it's good to have you both in the studio for tonight's show. Obviously, it's been a while to get both of you on set, but finally we're here. Starting off with you, Mezi. How's the day?
Very good. Good to be here. Ready to talk about everything football. I'm glad you be very glad to be
fantastic here. Stuff. Tokwe, you're you've been a football writer for quite some time, and you're a big fan of Jose Mourinho. But look, it's good to have you in the studio as well.
Yeah, same here, Yobi. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. Let's do this.
Certainly. Now, VAR was introduced in the Champions League for only the season's knockouts rounds, of course. 1 week apart, we caught glimpses of its effect. 7 nights after Ajax were on the receiving end versus Real Madrid, Juventus might just have lost 4-0, considering Alvaro Morata's disallowed goal and the penalty awarded to Atletico when Diego Costa went down inside the box. It was one of the standout ties when the draws were made. And what a game it turned out to be, gentlemen. I'm going to start off with you, Tokwe. Juventus Atletico Madrid. You think about the big European games, you think about the PSG United game, but none of it quite lived up to the levels the Juventus game actually, but it was quite some game actually.
Yes, it was. Any game involving Cristiano Ronaldo, you would expect it to be a classic. But unfortunately, Atletico took them to the cleaners. Defended well, put them on the counter, and I think in the second leg we'll see more of Cristiano Ronaldo. I think Ronaldo there's something I always say, never underestimate any team that has Ronaldo or Messi.
Yeah.
And I think in the second leg at the Olympic Stadium, I think Ronaldo will show them what he's made of.
Probably. Speaking of which, Atletico are unbeaten in the Champions League against Italian opposition under the manager Diego Simeone. The streak stands at 4 wins and 2 draws. They've conceded just 1 goal in that space of time. And the most recent time Juventus have defeated Atletico Madrid was back in 1965. And when you think about the stats there, it hits you and you think, yes, they haven't played too many games, but against an Atletico side that could, you always say, Atletico could defend for 2 weeks if they need to. Actually. And when you've got that 2-goal cushion going back to Turin, is that something you think Juventus might just have left it a little too late?
I think it's good night to Juventus for me. I think it's over because in the last 15 games at home in European competitions, Atletico have failed. They've only conceded 1 goal. Kept 14 clean sheets. So very difficult for Juventus to come back from this one. But like Tokwe said, when you have Ronaldo, anything can still happen. But it's going to be very, very tight, very tough. I thought Atletico played very, very well. Of course, VAR, you could say,
it could have been 4 goals.
It could have been, you could say. But the Alvaro Morata game, if it was before, look, I thought Chiellini dramatized so much. It was a Shakespeare act.
Let's talk about that one, because when you think about the Italian defenders, they have they're called the kings of the dark arts almost sometimes, but it looks worse in slow motion. The VAR calls, when you look at it in slow motion, the more you look at it actually, the more it looks like, he's killed him. But it's a contact sport, and yes, there's a push there, but has the VAR left a positive impression on you? We've seen 2 games where it's actually been really used. The Juventus game, Atletico game, the Real Madrid Ajax game. You felt Ajax were a bit hard done by in that game. What kind of impression has the VAR left on you?
I think for me, while the VAR is a good innovation, but the VAR is not imperfect. I think it's taking the fun out of the game. I think Ajax, when Sajic scored and then it was called back for an infringement, I think that kind of thing takes the fun out of the game. And I think, for example, the Manchester City game also and the Shakhtar game. Yeah. When you have players, for example, the screens on the side were not working. Yeah. And then the video assistant referees had to call the main referee. And then you find players like David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, fantastic players, silky players, waiting around for 3 minutes for a decision they're not sure of. It takes the fun out of the game. It takes the excitement of the game. That buzz where you're feeling the game, and in a top European game like that, I think football should just let it flow. I think what could be done better is get better referees. To spot the.
So you're not a fan of VAR, basically.
Yes, because VAR for me is taking fun out of the game.
Are you a fan of VAR?
I am. I'm a big fan. I think VAR has done well so far. I think it will get better because referees are humans and they will always make mistakes. So, I mean, the game against Man City, saw what happened when the ball hit Otamendi.
Yeah.
Of course, he was taking his hand away, but that ball was goal bound. So, it was a clear penalty. Was it a foul? I don't think it was a foul. I don't think it deserved a yellow card. But the clear penalty, VAR did well in that one. I think VAR has done well so far.
Well, Cristiano Ronaldo has scored only 1 goal in his past 9 Champions League matches. After scoring 11 in his previous 8, he's failed to score in 4 of the past 5 Champions League games against Atletico. Certainly, he'll need to be back amongst the goals if they're to go through. Gentlemen, I'm just going to take a quick prediction from both of you going into the second leg. Starting off with you, Amazi. Juventus versus Atletico Madrid. Give us a prediction.
0-0.
0-0. That means Atletico go through, aggregate 2-0. Tokwe.
I think it goes to extra time. I think Ronaldo with a brace.
So that's a 2-0 in regulation time.
Yes.
So Ronaldo does a brace.
Big.
That's an interesting. That's an interesting
Never
one.
underestimate Cristiano Ronaldo.
Of course, certainly. I will look forward to it. Certainly, the return of the Champions League in a couple of weeks' time. Okay, we're due for another break, and this time we're playing you something from one of 2018's biggest acts, and I dare say it's dominating 2019 yet again. No prizes for guessing who our next act on the show is. Reasons we're keeping it on the low with Burna Boy. Stay with us. Tokwe and Amazi are still here. Both of them football writers. Both of them are very astute journalists in their own right as well. Gentlemen, are you having fun? It's good to...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Conversation's going good?
Yeah.
Very well. Good one.
Fantastic, loving it. Now, it might not be a view shared by majority of their fans, many of whom still have never, of course, experienced a proper Champions League night. But for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City owners, the Champions League is their main objective, being a goal. And a man down in the late and second half didn't quite necessarily mean he was about to go up in smoke. And of course, he would still back his team of City's quality to return a hypothetical 2-1 deficit. Of course, it would look like something the City team would be thinking about. But was one word that's been getting mentioned lately, the quadruple. And when you think about City as a team, currently top in the Premier League, albeit, Liverpool's got a game in hand. In the FA Cup final, rather, the Carabao Cup final, the FA Cup is still pretty much in the quarterfinals. And you could tell they have an easier route to the final. When you think about Manchester City, do you think they can win the treble?
Treble?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think, of course, maybe the league is feasible, the Carabao Cup and maybe the FA Cup, but you see the Champions League is a no-no. Man City always struggle. I mean, these German teams always get, when they played Hoffenheim, they put them on the back foot. Against Schalke, the same. I think if they play a more, a better team, I think Man City will be, I think they would labor hard.
What is the thing about City, Topway, that doesn't quite make them come alive in the Champions League? We've seen that happen across the last 4 seasons. I mean, since the rich, money came and, they had all that investments, they haven't quite really raised the bar on a European night. The Premier League is their bread and butter, basically, and, they've won the League Cup as well. But those Champions League nights doesn't quite get the atmosphere. Sometimes the fans are not even in the stadium to capacity. When you think about Man City having Pep Guardiola in his 3rd season now, is that something he'll be actively thinking about? Because they've still got a chance to win all 4 trophies. And starting with the Champions League, which they came back, have got a 3 away goal advantage. That's something they would think about. You think they could win a quadruple this season?
Manchester City quadruple? No chance. No chance. The league, yes, they could. They could win that if Manchester United do them in favor of beating Liverpool, of course. The Carabao Cup, there's a high chance they will beat Chelsea. Definitely.
So that's 2 cups.
That's
already.
2 cups.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, well, basically, yeah. So the FA Cup, there's because there's Manchester United there, and we're talking about Manchester United under the Gunnar Solskjaer. And the FA Cup, the magic of the FA Cup, anything can happen. Right. So, but the Champions League, I don't think Manchester City have a chance. You saw the last game against Shakhtar, and they were lucky. They were quite lucky. The standing free kick, and then the last moment of magic from Sterling. Yeah. So I don't think Manchester City have what it takes to win the Champions League. I think Pep Guardiola, first of all, he doesn't have Messi. So Yeah, people always say that. I think a huge success, a huge factor in his success in the Champions League was due to Lionel Messi in his prime.
That is something he has quite admitted in the last couple of days. But let's just take a look at the turn of the millennium. Since the turn of the millennium back in 1999, Manchester United, one of the teams to have won the treble. It's the finest achievement by any English club side, I dare say. Guardiola, of course, winning the treble in his first season in charge with a very special Barcelona team back in 2009, arguably the greatest side Europe has ever seen, with the line of Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, and Busquets. Fantastic team. Puyol at the back as well. In 2010, guess who? Jose Mourinho and Inter Milan became the first Italian team to win a treble. It's just like Messi and Ronaldo. Every time you talk about Pep, just around the corner, there's Jose Mourinho somewhere there. And most recently, Bayern Munich, back in 2013 with Jupp Heynckes, the first treble in German history in not only his final game with the Bavarians, but his final game as a manager. Of course, that's before they brought him back to salvage the situation not quite too long ago. When you think about the great sides that have won the treble, like the ones I've just mentioned, that's an elite group of teams to have talked about. When you look at the City team with the Silvers, the De Bruyne's, Fernandinho, Aguero, don't they fall into that category of players where you're thinking Roy Keane, Xavi, Iniesta? Does any of those players at City not fall into that category and you think they can actually go out and win the treble?
No, I don't think so. There's a popular saying, attack wins you games, defense wins you championships. Now, Manchester City, they have the attack. They have Aguero, they have Gabriel, they have Sané, they have Mahrez. In the midfield, they have Kevin De Bruyne, they have Silva. But in the defense, who do they have? John Stones, the Vincent Kompany that's past his prime. And at the last game, Fernandinho had to be deployed in the defense. And I remember it was one that caused the penalty. Compared to the previous teams we have that won the treble, you had Lucio, you had Samuel, solid defenders in their prime. You have Manchester United, you have Rio Ferdinand, you have Vidic. Yeah. Compared to the likes of John Stones, I don't think Manchester City, in the league, yes, they could, beat up some small teams. But when you get to when the big boys are there coming, you play you play against the Ronaldo, Messi. I don't think John Stones is going to win you a Champions League in defense. So because Champions League, it's not just about how many you can you outscore the other team. Sometimes you have to be dogged. Yeah, and that is what Manchester United true. That's also Inter Milan true. For Manchester City, can they show up the defense? I don't think so.
Let's just touch base with the Carabao Cup final coming up on Sunday. It's Manchester City versus Chelsea. And starting with Chelsea, that's the first real chance to go on and win a quadruple, as has been mentioned in many parts of the English media. And speaking of Chelsea, let's just take this information that came in earlier today. Chelsea have been banned from signing players for 2 transfer windows after being found guilty of breaching rules about signing minors by FIFA. The Premier League club have also been fined more than £460,000, while the FA faced a £390,000 sanction that will also be appealed, of course, citing concerns with FIFA's disciplinary processes. So basically, long and short is Chelsea cannot sign players in the summer and in January. When you think about the conundrum that is currently at Chelsea, the prevailing atmosphere is not the best, and Hazard might just be going in the summer. What do you make of Chelsea's chances going in the next 2 transfer windows?
I think trouble in paradise for Chelsea for me. I think they knew something. That's why they failed to let Hudson-Odoi go. I'm sure they did that. So Hudson-Odoi is still there. Of course, they have Pulisic. They still have a couple of players, but Hazard, if they must have any chance, he must not go. They have to try and keep him for the next 2 transfer windows. I don't know how possible that would be. Will Sarri still be around? We hear that Roma has asked to have his signature in. That would be a problem. But I think Sarri, for me, his job is on the line. I think he's going to get fired very, very soon. But so much trouble. When the next coach comes in, will he want to come in and say, you know what, I can't sign the kind of players I want? That's another problem there. So why don't you just keep Sarri, who knows his team, the team he has? You have Higuain in that team. Keep him and let him build this team, because you can't transfer players. So bring in your young players and try to make this team formidable. But lots of problems for Chelsea as far as I'm concerned. The boys need to come in. And Sarri has come out to say that if Hudson-Odoi must play, he had that sense, and Pedro, Hazard, or the other guy, Willian, away. And that's the problem. But Hudson-Odoi wants to play.
Starting with the Carabao Cup final, just give us a quick prediction before we take a final break on the show. Do you think Chelsea have a chance of winning it?
I think it will be much closer than the draw being collected at Manchester City Stadium, 6-0. I think it will be much closer than that. However, I think Sarri's insistence, I think his stubbornness to stick to 4-3-3, playing Kante out of position, I think that will be their undoing. So I think 2-0 to Manchester City. I think Aguero would definitely do some damage. And then now that we're not sure, Kepa would be in contention. So I don't think Chelsea don't have a chance.
Fantastic stuff there. Give us a prediction on Messi just before we wrap it up on this segment of the show.
I really feel Chelsea can win this. Yeah, Sarri is 60. He wants to get his first trophy.
Yeah.
This is his chance. Good chance. I think he can nick this one. Maybe 2-1.
The gentlemen have had their say on the Carabao Cup final coming up on Sunday, and you too can have yours. Find and get talking to us on social media. Hit us up on Twitter at hotfm_Lagos. Use the hashtag 93extra to be a part of the conversation. And on WhatsApp is 081-800-899-33. Time for one final break on the program tonight, but that's not before we ask you to send in your contributions on the topics discussed tonight. We're, of course, picking the best mentions and sharing them with the experts just before they leave. Next up is a song that became an instant hit upon release, and why not, given two hip-hop legends came together for this one. Dwayne Carter featuring Sweet Beats, Opera. Stay with us. Off the Carter 5 album, the song peaked at number 7 on the Billboard's Hot 100 and has so far spent 20 weeks on the charts. Other tracks from the album, including Mona Lisa and Don't Cry, picked at number 2 and 5 respectively. Still in the studio are Maisie Shike and Temitope Ajibade. Maisie is a football reporter and writer. Tope used to be a football writer. Now he simply observes the game with keen interest while working for one of Nigeria's leading banks. Gentlemen, final stretch on the show, but let's just wrap it up with a few of the conversations which we've got lined up. But that's not before we take the predictions and, of course, the interactions from some of the guys on social media. Hit us up on Twitter at hotfm_Lagos. Use the hashtag 93extra to be a part of the conversation, and also on WhatsApp is 081-800-899-33. As you keep them coming, we'll take them shortly. Right. Also, we've got a prediction game going up on our Instagram page. Basically, I go out there and predicts the accurate scoreline between two games. Manchester United versus Liverpool at Old Trafford, and basically the Carabao Cup final. Use the hashtag 93extra when you predict up on Twitter to be a part of any sort of giveaways which we're doing here on the show. Now, Alaga OG on Twitter says, good evening, guys. I foresee Chelsea beating Manchester City 3-2 this weekend. Manchester City don't have the balls to win the Champions League. My darling Manchester United will trash Liverpool 4-1 on Sunday. Great work by your guests, gentlemen. Yeah. Fantastic stuff out there. All right, then let's just wrap it up with this few conversations. Of course, Barcelona, let's quickly talk about them. The El Clasico comes up on March the 2nd. And Barcelona, of course, at the Santiago Bernabeu with the Basque club currently topping the La Liga and leading capital city rivals, I beg your pardon, by 9 points. And when you think about the El Clasico, especially with the departure of Ronaldo, it doesn't quite have the perspective it used to have, the context, the pre-match analysis, and all that stuff. Do you think it's lost a bit of its glamour in the recent times?
Yes. In the past, El Clasico used to be strictly just Ronaldo versus Messi, each trying to outdo the other. But now Messi is, I wouldn't say on the decline, but he's not the supernatural he used to be. So Ronaldo is, of course, in the Italian league. Suarez is
Suarez is gone. It feels like it's gone.
Exactly. I feel like I'm seeing Falcao in Manchester United, So I think but the thing about Real Madrid is you never know which Real Madrid will turn up. They lose today, they win tomorrow. They went to Atletico Madrid, they scored 3 goals, and then they came home and they lost. You never really know which game will turn up. I think that game goes out a draw for me. I think it will go down as a draw. Except, of course, the supernatural Messi and decides to do his thing again. I
think you pretty much be the difference. But the interesting thing to note, amazing, is the fact that both Real and Madrid would, of course, both Real and of course Barcelona, will face off within the space of a week. They played themselves twice basically at the turn of the month, which is in March. And as two giants of Spanish football, they also play the second leg of the Copa del Rey, which of course is finally poised as things currently stand. You think about it and you feel it's probably the two games that would go on to define both their seasons domestically.
I think so. I mean, in the reverse fixture, we saw what happened. There was no mercy, and Barcelona still went and beat Real Madrid 5-1. And so this time, the Copa del Rey, there was no Messi again. Real Madrid still didn't get to win that one. When there's Messi, there's a change in reaction. He's always a difference. And I still Barcelona have the chance to do it. But this Real Madrid team is a young side. Solari has brought young lads to make it happen for them. And in the last 5 games, they've been very good. Of course, they beat Atletico Madrid in the Madrid derby. Went out to lose Girona. It was topsy-turvy. If they had won that game,
they probably would have cut the points to 6 points.
Yeah, they would have cut the point 6 points. But now it's that bad. Even if they win Barcelona, it's still going to be a long way to go. So, but in that, I don't think they have a chance again in the El Clasico against Barcelona for me.
The La Liga feels like nobody wants to win it this season. Barca, took a race and topped the table. Atletico don't feel like winning it, and they're telling Real Madrid you want to win it, and Real Madrid are like, you know what, go ahead, have it. Who do you see winning it this season? Obviously, Barcelona have got 9 points, cushion to play around with, but you get the feeling the way both sides are performing. Barcelona have scored 4 goals in their last 4 matches, and 2 of them have been penalties by Lionel Messi. You get the feeling it's just this is the game that probably has to spark both seasons into life, especially we're in March. When that game comes around, and you get the feeling those tempos almost define the rest of the season. What do you think will happen in the game scoreline?
I would like to go for a Messi masterclass. So I think Messi will come alive in this game. I see this as his opportunity, and then to extend the lead at the top of the table. And they know that if they do this, then there's a high chance, because Atletico are also not consistent. Costa is not really firing enough. That's Morata. Griezmann is the only X factor they have. So I think Messi will see this as the opportunity to go to increase their lead at the top of the table. And I see them winning this game.
Fantastic stuff. Let's just wrap it up with a preview of the Liverpool Manchester United versus Liverpool. United obviously are home there. And we've all talked about the Gunnar Solskjaer effect, and it's been fantastic. They've won, 11 games and 1 draw and 1 loss since he took over. And we had a fantastic argument just outside the studio. But where do you see the game going? Liverpool, they need to win it. It's the outstanding game. It's the game they need to win to get back to the top of the table. Do you see Solskjaer's team amazing throwing a spanner in the works in that game?
I think Solskjaer has it also. I think he's going to win that one. I think Liverpool are seriously under pressure to win. And Man U, I think they are on a very good form. But when it comes to this game, of course, form is thrown out the window. But I think with the form of Pogba, I really think Man U have a chance to win this one. Liverpool defense lineup not very good. Of course, Virgil van Dijk will come into this one, no doubt about it. But I still see this Man U can do something in this game.
There's no Lingard and Martial, at least we don't know that for sure. But the game is on Sunday, and we've got to assume that on Friday, if they're not both in the picture, then it feels like they would not play. But how big a loss is it to Manchester United?
It's quite a big loss. When Solskjaer came in, he centered his attacking play around Martial, Lingard, Pogba, and Rashford. And that's why the likes of Sanchez and Lukaku don't get to play. So I think losing those two, I think it would be a big blow, just like it affected him against PSG. But I think in this case, he's well prepared. It's not just happening at the halftime. So he's well prepared. I think he will make adequate strategies to adapt to the game, just like he did at Chelsea and he won 2-0. I think this game will be quite close. I think Liverpool will come with a gongo approach. But I think Manchester United will make it. They will have the soft supporters, the soft players who are the supporters. Yeah. I think Manchester City would also be rooting for Manchester United. They will be buzzing. Yeah. So I won't be surprised if I see Manchester City fans in the stadium, shouting, "Hey, GGMU," Yeah. So I think Manchester United will make it. I think the desire, because Liverpool are their biggest rivals, and they know if they lose this game, there's a chance Liverpool will catch up with them, and the league title is total. So I think everyone will be rooting for Manchester United. They're both for it.
Gentlemen, finally, give us a prediction going into the PSG game, which is next week. United PSG. PSG once were famous for throwing away a 4-0 lead to Barcelona. Any chance of that repeating itself later next week?
With Cavani playing this time, I think it will be 1-1.
1-1. So PSG, of course, go through.
Like you said, with Cavani back, I don't see Manchester United making a win there, especially where we're not even sure, the top players will be back in top condition. Right. So I think Manchester United are out. I think it could be a draw.
All right, then, makes the conversations even more interesting. Let's just take the few final messages up on our Twitter platform. A few predictions are coming in, so we see you keep them coming in. But it's been a fantastic one. Gentlemen, thanks for coming through and spending your time with us. It's elections eve, and of course, both of you had to take out of your very precious busy schedule to come here. Oprah, thanks for making it through to the show. Hopefully, come see us some other time.
Yeah, sure. I would like to be here.
Fantastic stuff. Amazing.
Good one. Thank you for the invitation. I just go back and just get my kick.
Right. Fantastic stuff. Okay, it's been a week to remember, and that's not just because we saw some great Champions League games, but it was at this time last week the country held its breath for the professionals and, of course, the presidential polls. And going into tomorrow's scheduled polls, all we can ask for is the collective voice of Nigerian people be heard, and may the best man win. It's been 93 Extra with UB, Amazing Shike, and Temitope Ajibade. From all of us in studio, click, bang.